Well, good morning, Hill Country Business Network. It's a pleasure to speak to you guys. Look, when I was first asked to speak, I said, what kind of presentation do these folks need? You know, really, what do they get out of bed for and come out here at 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning and not go to work, right? To hear. Did you want to hear another pitch on how I can sell you all kinds of great shit and change your life? Probably not. Okay, excuse me, sorry. And I do try to stifle, but that's the one that kind of slips out. Did you need a marketing campaign to my latest business? Probably not. Probably not. So I looked around the room and I said, you know, who's here? Who needs the message? And what message do they need to hear? You know, from this guy up here. We're here for an allotted amount of time, so I want to take advantage of that. And I said, well, what do I want them to get from this? When you leave today, I got 3 things that I want you to walk away. First of all, a better understanding of your fellow man, right? This guy right here. Second of all, that no matter who you are, where you're from, what walk of life you have ever had or taken, there is a vast opportunity out there for you to change your current station in life. That's number 2. Number 3, I'm going to let you know a couple of ways you can do that. That's right. Okay, so who am I? Why do you want to listen to this guy? What's the importance? My name is Christopher C. Day, and I am a maker and builder of many, many, many things. Okay, just to give you a brief list of accolades there, I've invested in about 30 businesses in my life. I currently have a portfolio just under a dozen that's under management and continuously growing. See, where am I going with that? I know I've started this a whole bunch of times. Let's see. I've owned businesses, operated, invested in businesses in current industries as e-commerce, retail, marketing, social media, management and marketing. Let's see. Yes, art production and entertainment, mycology, the cannabis industry, the current, well, actually not the current, but I'm going to move past that one. I'm going to move past that one. A lot of different industries, guys, that I've helped push along in my lifetime, right? I'm 42 years old, done a lot of crazy wildness. Been a millionaire 3 times in my life, documented. By the way, the last 15 years of my life has been video documented. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. It's out there for you to see and verify that every step of this is true and is attainable for you as well. Now, yes, I've been a millionaire 3 times in my life. Not there right now, by the way. Just getting that clear, okay? Also been homeless 3.5 times. Spent off and on between 24 collected years, and I'm only 42 now, in federal prison, for helping to pioneer the cannabis and the current state of the psychedelic movement in the United States. So if any of you guys are familiar with the law changes that have happened in the last 10 years, so that now you can grow what you want to grow and do what you want to do and live the life the way you choose to do it. I was out there on those stages, speaking to speak, writing the articles, putting out the stuff that needed to be put out so that those changes are made. And also spent a lot of my life paying for that, for those choices. And I'm okay with that. Totally 100% okay with that, because I would not be the man that I am today had that not happened. Now, let's rewind. Let's give you a little bit of a recap. So this is a lot of great fancy crap, right? How does that happen? How does someone do those things and end up talking to you guys in a restaurant in Spring Branch, Texas about this, that, and the other? I started off life in San Angelo, Texas, born to drug addict, addicted teenage parents. Okay, that's exactly what it was. They didn't need me. I was born addicted to a lot of substances that I shouldn't have been and had physical ramifications for the next 4 to 5 years of my life. Bowel issues, digestive problems, all kinds of things, as well as addiction issues, right? From birth. Fortunately, my aunt, who wasn't much more of moral character than my mother, came across with her husband during, now mind you, these are 16 to 20-year-olds. Okay, in 1980. All right, if you lived 1980, you understand. And that's where they were at, and that's what they were doing. And my aunt found me living in a dresser drawer in the Skytop Motel in San Angelo, Texas. And they just closed the door when they were partying. Closed the drawer. And she said, that's not right. Even though I like to do what I do, kids shouldn't live like that. And that's my nephew, so let's do something for him. Fortunately, I was kidnapped and adopted out to a very well-respected family in a small town called McCamey, Texas. Okay, middle of Nowhereville, USA, about 6 hours from here, by a wonderful Christian family who had 3 other children and had gone through a process of miscarriages, stillbirths, and things, and I happened to come at a time of life that they needed it. So did I. Thank the good Lord for that, right? Okay, so having the physical issues, come up, adopted into a family. By the way, this is my whole family, 6 foot something, red hair, green eyes, freckles, and I'm 5'9" and brown, right? Do not fit in. Tiny little oil field town, West Texas, right? The only thing that you can possibly do in life is work in the oil field. And now what type of oil field? Now, mind you, this is a very, very, very small town, 1,100 people population. My graduating class had 28. Yeah, 28 people. This is the glorious size of the hometown that I came from. Now, if you don't work in the oil field, you're at a convenience store or a retail establishment or a restaurant or something like that. That's the extent of your life. It will never go beyond that. Like, that's it. Like, we don't know rich people. We don't even know what that means. We don't even know business owners, because most of the people that are there have been there since the beginning of the town, and they just pass it to their kid. It's not something that you ever learn. It's not something that's taught. It's not something. What's an investment? No idea. All we know is that people have ideas and they keep shutting it down, and our little town is going to stay small. That was it, right? Moving on. Now, this is where it gets hairy, guys. So I'm 14 years old, and I discover 2 amazing freaking things in life, right? First, girls, right? Oh, yeah, 14 years old, and I discovered girls, and guess what? Nothing else mattered anymore. This is a story, guys. I'm going to tell you, this is a story of how, okay? One thing that I learned years and years ago is the question of can I do anything is never the correct question. Never ask the question, can I do any darn thing in life? The only question to ever ask is, how can I? Whatever it is that you want to do is possible. There is an opportunity. You must simply sit down and figure out how to make that happen. 14 years old, there was a girl that I was really hung up on. And she says, well, my ex-boyfriend was a real man. By the way, she's 16. I think I'm 14. He was 21, had a car, could drive, had a job. So I said, how can I become a real man? I must have a car, have a job, right? Learn to drive, have money. That's what I need to do. So I went to work at 14 years old at a gas station, one of the last surviving full-service gas stations in West Texas, period. Little Exxon by a little old man about that tall, that big around, that loved to sit there and chew tobacco and spit it all over the place. Anyhow, I had money, ended up getting a car, 15 years old, get my permit so I can cruise around my whole town of 2 miles. Oh yeah, the main strip, 2 miles, end to end. We just drove end to end, turn around at the school, turn around at the store, and come back and do it again. That's it. Got the job, got the car, got the girl. I need a business now. I also discovered weed, by the way. 14 years old, it's 1994, and I live in the desert of West Texas, and let me tell you what, I found the magic spice of life, and everybody says it's wrong. Now, this is 1 year following. Now, good Christian upbringing, good Christian family. They love me. They want the best for their child. Well, come on in. How you doing, bud? Yeah, fantastic. I'm going to love to meet you here in just a little bit. So they happen to find that their child is on drugs. What are they going to do? Their child is on drugs. Now, these people, my mother never smoked a cigarette in her life. My father might have had a beer or two when he played professional music in the bars, and that was about it amongst all of his other people, and that's one of the reasons he separated from that life. So for their son to be doing drugs was a big deal. By the way, I had come into a business at 14. I realized real quick when you're an hour drive away from the major city, it's hard to get that weed that you want in the 90s. You're going to go through dry spells. You're going to go through times to where it's just not available. Well, how can I let that happen? I found the magic spice of life. See a need, fill a need. So I learned to grow that magic spice of life in the desert. Now, 14 years old, not a lot of resources here. They already got helicopters and planes all over the place. You're not growing anything green where the the only green thing around you is this tall, and then all of a sudden you can't do that. You're going to go to prison. I must be smarter than that. How can I make this happen? So I got with a buddy of mine. Now, by the way, this all leads into strategic partnerships. This leads into leveraging your relationships. Okay. None of this, by the way, comes from money. None of this comes from having any darn thing whatsoever. Keep in mind every single thing that happens here. 14 years old. I got a buddy of mine that's graduating high school. He works at another BS job like I did. But we went together and rented a small little one-bedroom place, set it up next to the neighbor next door, ran a water hose over so we didn't have to pay any kind of utilities because it was free electricity, right? And we started growing what is now known as hydroponics. Yeah, this is 1994, pre-Prop 215. Nothing was legal, okay? Nothing whatsoever. The word hydroponic was not even invented. At the time, it was Christmas tree. It was Colombian red hair. It was Acapulco gold and Michoacan. That's the good stuff. Skunk number 5 in Northern Lights. It wasn't Death Star number 86 crossed with Kim Dog. It wasn't that, okay? It wasn't that. It was old school, legit, real deal. We're smoking the pot top stuff. Hydroponics was born in the desert, okay, through PVC plumbing and whatnot. I happened to develop a relationship with many dispensaries in 2016. As soon as Prop 215 happened, 1996. As soon as Prop 215 happened, it was a gold rush in this world, okay, or in this country. All right, we now had medicinal use. You could go to a dispensary and purchase medicinal marijuana. Look, man, everybody all of a sudden had glaucoma. Everybody's got cancer and they're all dying, right? They've all got these list of 8 terminal illnesses that you have to have. And the dispensaries cannot meet the demand. So, of course, what does any budding industry that has no federal regulation over it do? They reach out to small guys like me and they say, hey, we see what you're doing, where you're at, and if you can supply it, we can buy it. So for the next 25 years, that's exactly what I did professionally, made millions of dollars cash. Okay. 2008, I have a federal documentation that they recovered 6.8 million cash out of my closet. By the way, $1 million cash fits in a shoebox, just to let you know. For those of you that don't know, $1 million fits in a shoebox. Okay. It was 6.8 shoeboxes recovered with full photo documentation. Story number 1. So it can happen. No money down, none of that kind of stuff. Leveraged what was going on in life, right? Leveraged what was going on in the times in society. Leveraged my relationships. Okay. Moving on. Did that for a long time. 15. My parents decide that their kid's on drugs. Now, they don't know I'm growing massive amounts of marijuana. They don't know this. They just think, man, he got them red eyes. We keep seeing him coming in here and he's not really on time and he's not doing, grades are slacking. He's got this girlfriend that's wearing more makeup than she used to. I mean, just all this stuff, right? We think our kid's having problems. Small town stuff happens. Well, look, my oldest brother, 20 years older than me, right? 20 years my senior. His best friend through high school is now a deputy police officer in our hometown, and has decided to come and do my parents a solid by helping out their young child who obviously is going wayward and has been misguided in life. Must be running around with the wrong crowd. That ends up into one thing leads to another, man. Look, I was pretty good as a teenager. I covered my tracks. That's what it was. But I also had an agenda. There were people trying to set me straight and do what they did. Ended up being I had a brick of firecrackers in my closet. Black Cat firecrackers. Just the brick of 1,000, unopened, from the year before. Okay, we had moved houses. I had moved from out in the country into the city. And in my closet, in a box, was a brick of firecrackers and the remnants of an old chemistry set from when I was about 9 years old for Christmas. Okay? Along with a bunch of other junk, by the way. It's shit you move out of your closet when you're a kid, right? So this officer says, with the contents of this box, you could have been manufacturing explosives. Therefore, we will put you under arrest. Now, I didn't know until I was about 21 that this was a BS scam between my family and him to set me up on a fake probation and get me to take UAs so that they could monitor In a small town, it costs you 25 bucks a month. It's not that big a deal. Well, it happens to be that paperwork got filed to the wrong people, and it shouldn't have been. And I ended up going to federal prison at 15 years old for manufacturing explosives. That's right, 1995. I'm starting my sophomore year, high school. A nerd, dude. Look, couldn't get a date, saved my life. The one goofy, ugly girl that I was with, she's a goofy, ugly girl. That was it. Didn't have anything going on. And all of a sudden, I'm the quiet kid that nobody knew, that was geeky, didn't fit in with the rest of them, and he's going to prison for bombs. Understand how this happened, right? This is a crazy situation, man. Didn't really know what to do. I'm a minor, so they stick you in solitary confinement because you're not old enough to be around big boys. So you're sitting there in a room, in a bathroom. You're living in a bathroom about yay big by yourself. First time it was 4 months, and they let me go home because I got a bond. I was a kid, right? Get to come back at court, so wasn't really going back to school with that. So you kind of hang out. 6 months later or so, we go to court, and you turn yourself in to go to court. They put you in the clothes to go do your thing, and oh, court was reset, but you're now in our custody again until the new date. Guess what? That's another 6 months reset. Now I'm 17 years old, and I'm an adult, and I'm going to court. They said, here's the deal. You can argue this and you can fight it all you want to, and we can sit here and spend time doing this over and over, but you've already lost over a year of your life. 10 months of your life, you've already been sitting in here. You lost your high school, everything else. Just say what you did. You're now an adult, okay? And you go home today because you've served 10 months. We're going to give you 2 months and a day. Good time. It's a year. You're an adult now. You get that full time. You get to go home. Sign that paper and go home. Convicted felon, 15 years old. So this is the how can I. Next stage is going back to school. How in the hell do you do that, right? Well, you go, because that's what you're supposed to do. And you realize that you're raising your hand, asking permission to go to the bathroom. It didn't really make sense. I've been working since I was 14. End up meeting this old girl, 10 years older than me, had a few kids already, other kind of shit, and fell in love. You know, you fall in love when you're 15, 16 years old. Turned 17, I said, Mom and Dad, I want to get married. Ready to get married. I'm a grown man now. And they said, well, son, there's a lot of life you need to do. I don't think you're ready to get married. Well, I've done everything. Hell, I was 14, I got a full-time job. I had real relationships, worked 40 hours a week. I take care of everything. Every single thing that every adult I had ever known, I've already done. I've been living the life. Just came back from a place of adults. Adults, man. I'm ready. Cool. This is a story of you don't know what you don't know. Yeah, because I truly believed that I had experienced every single thing that any adult I had ever known had experienced. And there was nothing more for me than to do that. Mind you, I'm working minimum wage jobs, little retail crap at my hometown trying to figure this out. How do I get better? Well, as soon as I came home, I made my connections and did what I needed to do and got back in the cannabis industry. Just exactly the way that anybody else would have done when you're used to seeing millions of dollars and then all of a sudden well, at that time it wasn't millions, it was hundreds of thousands at that time. Anyway, long story short, remarried, got a divorce, did the crazy 20 thing, spent the 20s and most of the 30s going through these issues because from that first day, I stayed in the control the entire time. You're either on probation or supervised release or under some sort of programming to where you are in that system, okay? You do not have to break another law in order to go back to prison, okay? That's BS. It's not somebody that keeps screwing up. I did lose in, 2018. I ended up losing, was it 18? A few years ago. Year and a half of my life over an anger management class that got missed. Yeah, one class. 3 years into a deal. Hadn't been doing great. Lost the house, lost the kids, lost the job, lost the family, lost everything. That's exactly the way that goes over an anger management class. Point is, it took a long time, and it wasn't until I was 40 years old and I finally came home with 0 attachments. Finally. Okay. I'm going to rewind a little bit because here's another story of how can I. In 2015, 2013, somewhere between 11 and 15. So, look, we were doing a timeline last night, and it's crazy, all right? Somewhere between 11 and 15, I had gone to prison for, early 2000s, I'd gone to prison for manufacturing mushrooms. Okay, that was during the whole thing. And at that time, it was the largest mushroom cultivation case in the history of the federal government. I tripled the federal maximum 78 times. I was 21 years old, so it was 2001 when all that happened. And this is what they tell me at 21 years old. They said, well, kid, look, you will do no less than 40 years and no more than the rest of your life. Yeah. You will do no less than 40 years and no less than the rest of your life. Because the way that the federal drug table, quantity table was listed is that psilocybin and psilocin, the two active chemicals in the psychedelic mushroom, are measured the same way that LSD and PCP are in chemical form. Now, it happens to be that when this happened, I wasn't doing any of that. I had done the mushroom thing, and to tell you the truth, I had shut that business down. Everything was over. I was 6 months from moving away. It was a closed down operation. I had a warrant roundup, had a warrant for a bar fight I'd been in a couple years before that. I'm in my 20s, by the way. I'm like 21. You know what I mean? So they come to do that, and they think they've stumbled across the meth lab, right, because of all of the laboratory gear. I said, hell no, I don't mess with that trash. Junkie, man. This is an old mushroom growth from a long time ago. Boom, admission of guilt, going to prison. Yeah, going to prison. By the way, still on all the other stuff from the prior prison thing 7 years before. It's still there. It ain't never gone anywhere. So now we're past 2001, we're past 9/11, and I am a domestic terrorist legally because the prior charge was manufacturing explosives. Yeah. Yeah. Firecrackers in the closet, man. Look, all of this is, by the way, documented and verified. You can check all this stuff out. It was a crazy, crazy story. In the end, I knew that I was never going to get a job. Right? Getting a job was out of it for me. Wasn't going to happen. Married, kids, all that. How are you going to support them? What are you going to do? Well, look, man, I don't need a degree to hire me. I don't need money to hire me. I don't need a good reputation or a good criminal record to hire me. Right? So entrepreneurship was born. Now we're going to go back. Yeah, we're not going to do that. I'll skip that one. We talked about this last night. Anyhow, long story short, I get out of prison. I'm 28 years old, something like that, for growing mushrooms. Spent some time in there. Yeah, they said 40 to life. How can I get the hell out of here? How am I going to die here? This is the story of how can I? I told you that. So I sat there for 2 years, and I sat in that law library, and I read every single federal journal that was put out, every Georgetown law journal that was ever put out in that entire library. And I filed every motion that I could find to file. And eventually I got it dropped from the largest manufacturing case to an attempt to manufacture because there were 0 mushrooms. I wasn't doing the deal. The whole thing, what they found were 78 jars of liquid mycelium, okay, which is the chemical composition of those mushrooms suspended in a liquid state. In truth, what are we talking about? We're talking about a gallon and a half of water with 1 cc of spore solution and a tablespoon of Karo syrup. Yeah, that's what you're talking about. So I said, look, Judge, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If we look at the actual table, and it says I could have had a 50-pound backpack full of dried mushrooms ready to sell, crossing the border with the other illegal dudes that are sitting here with the same 50-pound backpacks, I would get a maximum of 5 years. You didn't catch me with a single mushroom and you want to give me the rest of my life. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. As it come down to it, that was right. And there was no usable anything there. And I ended up going home 2.5 years later. So that was the story of how can I. And then it was like, well, how in the hell am I supposed to survive? How in the hell am I supposed to get a job? What do I know how to do? I'm living in a halfway house. I get down to the last couple of bucks and they say, well, you've got 15 days to get a job or you're going back to prison. Called my mom and dad and I said, Mom, Dad, look, things are rough. I ain't asked you for help in a long time. I'm 31 now, 31, sitting in a halfway house. And by the way, still running the businesses every time I went in. That's the point of running a business is you don't have to be there, by the way. Yeah. For those of you guys that understand the difference of self-employment and owning a business, you don't have to be there. It gets to generate for you. Yeah, that was the idea of all of this. The cannabis industry did not stop until I stopped it in 2018. The psychedelic movement did not stop until I sold that company in 2018. Moving on. Where are we at? You got to help me. Oh, we talked about this. She's got to be the one. Yeah, well, where was that? Yeah, yeah. I called my parents. Said, Dad, well, I don't know what to do. You know, they live 6 hours away from here, and I said, I don't even have clothes to go look for a job. Like, period. I was in a pair of one size fits most, spandex or elastic pants, and a 2X white polo shirt that looked like somebody'd been standing next to a grease pit before I got it, and some Jackie Chan shoes. No one's giving you a job, right? No one's giving you that job. So I said, man, what the heck do I know how to do? Because I'm fixing to go back. That's it. I called mom and dad, and they said, well, son, dad's in the hospital. He's not doing well. He had COPD, smoked for 40 some odd years. He didn't end up coming home. Right before all that happened, I talked to him. He says, well, son, I'm at the end of my rope. He says, I can't do a whole lot for you anymore. He says, I'm going to talk to your mom. I'm going to send you what we can send you. They sent me $60. Man, look. First of all, thankful for $60 in a bind, right? Second of all, man, all they had when they knew their kid was in a bind was $60. And dad's in the hospital. He didn't come home. Anyhow, I got down to the last $15. What are you going to do? Dad's dead. Dad died. Never getting anything again. There's never anything coming back and forth between that. So what am I going to do? How can I make that a legacy? What he gave me. I got $15. Well, do what you know how to do. And I had a horrible resume, right? I mean, hard to verify your own employment like your entire life when a lot of it's under the table in cash and whatever. Wasn't going to be able to get the job that was going to do any difference. So I went on Facebook and I said, what do I know how to do? I know how to grow mushrooms. I know how to grow weed. Shit. Not going back to prison for growing weed, man. Can't do that. And I'm not going back to prison for growing mushrooms. I just came home for this stuff. But I got a stack of paperwork that tall from the federal government that says I'm damn good at what I do. Full photographs and publicity. News footage and everything. I did not go to school. I barely graduated. I dropped out of high school my last year and then homeschooled the final year while I was married and had kids because that's what you do. So, no, I'm not a mycologist. I did own 2 mycology companies that became number 1 and number 2 in the world in that industry until we sold them in 2018. So the point of the matter is you don't have to have that to become what it is that you want to become and to do what you want to do. You go out there and make it happen. That story started with $15. I went on Facebook and I ordered a Blue Oyster Mushroom Culture, liquid culture syringe. And I turned that 1 liquid culture syringe into a dozen jars of liquid culture material, right? Filling over 200 syringes that I ended up selling for $5 a piece on a Facebook marketplace as gourmet edible mushroom cultures, right? Totally legal, totally legit, and started a company selling live culture materials, okay, from that. About a year later, my brother is laughing with my new girlfriend at the time, and he says, yeah, my brother could sell anything. He could sell a chocolate-covered turd. And I thought it was funny. We've all heard that before, right? But I was kind of cocky. It was a new girlfriend. I turned around and I said, I don't need the chocolate. Yeah. So I went on a personal mission. And that meant that I needed to start a business selling some shit. Legit. How am I going to do this? So I go down to the local nursery and I buy a 50-pound bag of black cow composted manure. Everybody heard of that? You've used it in your garden before? Man, it's about $3.99. Okay, $4.99 maybe at the high price store. So I broke that 50-pound bag into 1-pound increments and threw it into a pressure cooker for 45 minutes, sealed it up, and threw it on Facebook Marketplace as pasteurized, manure-based mushroom substrate for $7 a pound. You end up making $350 a bag profit. Okay, no tax, no nothing. It's all under the table. Everything's groovy. I literally started that business selling shit. Did it well. Ended up becoming a home cultivation kit company where that's what we did is we provide different cultivation kits for various types of medicinal, edible, gourmet types of mushrooms. And then guess what, man? Old Bad Wolf had a streak in him. Couldn't stray far from where he came from, so he split off and created a second company that was totally legal and totally legit, but still stayed in the realms of where he liked to play, and that was Spores to Go, the largest spore production company in the world until 2018. Between 2015 and 2018, I founded multiple companies. I decided I wanted to be an advocate, decided that I wanted to have the social presence out there saying that this is what I'm doing with my life. And founded the Texas Cannabis Radio, Sweet Leaf Solutions, which happened to be the very first marketing agency in Texas dedicated to the cannabis industry, and helped push along the psychedelic movement as well with Shrooms to Go and Sports to Go, the two leading companies in the home cultivation industry up until that point. Good Lord had a talking to me one time. Yeah, that happened in 2018. Good Lord talked to me and said, what you're doing is great, but you're selling the forbidden fruit, man. And that's what he told me. That was the message that I received, was that although it may not be wrong for everyone else, it was wrong for me to do what I was doing. I had to make life decisions to stop that. So I did. Went through some troubles, went through some hardships, and he told me this at the time. When you break the news that you're not going to be making millions anymore to the wife, there's going to be a problem. If she doesn't support you, you better leave her. There's going to be more problems. And I didn't. I told my mom about it immediately. I said, Mom, I've been talking to God, and God told me this. And she says, well, son, you know what you need to do. And I didn't. We do what we want to do every time. And we stayed with the girl. We stayed with the kids, stayed with the family, because that's what you do. You don't just leave because she doesn't support your decision to not make millions, right? Well, about 6 or 8 months later, I ended up going back to Federal. Been home for a long time, established a lot of stuff, been building, been on stages, been doing the things that I needed to do to really build a life. Ended up leaving for the next 3.5 years over a vape cartridge that she had in our car while I was Christmas shopping for our family, December 22nd, 2017. That resulted in, I didn't know what the hell to do at all. I was, in my 30s. What are you going to do, man? I'm fixing to lose every damn thing that I got going on over that. I had personally been through everything. I hadn't done any. I hadn't even smoked a joint in 5-6 years at the time, going through the stuff that I needed to do. Pushing as an advocate, but could not partake because of my legal situation. Being a good little boy, right? Ended up leaving. Came home. Thought I was coming home. Happened to be somebody else's kid there. Woman that was mine wasn't there. That's all there was to it. So this is where the story really kind of gets hairy, guys. This is the fun part. You've heard about all the accolades up to then. You've heard about falling down, getting back up, starting over, absolutely zero every single time. Leveraging things that are not money. Always leveraging things that are not money. Didn't have any. Didn't have any. So how long has all of this wonderfulness been taking place in our lives? December the 27th of 2019. I got dropped off here in San Antonio. Yeah, 3 years ago. 3 years ago. 2019. 2 days after Christmas. Jobless, homeless, penniless, broke. No friends, fans, family, followers. Jack. I had built a business while I was on vacation so that I could put up a little bit of cash when I came home. Happened to be that the day of release, credit card machine was down. They couldn't load the card. We'll send you a check from the U.S. Treasury to your known address. That's the ex's parents' house somewhere else. Wasn't going to happen. So I get dropped off on the Greyhound bus right downtown in San Antonio. And I said, well, what do I do? Do I go home to West Texas where mom's there? Go kick it with mom? But there's zero job prospects. There's nothing there. And I've been gone for years. I don't even know anybody there. What am I going to do? My kids are in San Antonio. What kind of dad leaves, right? What kind of dad just takes off and leaves? You got to stay here. It's the choices you got to make. You got to build something in this place, but how? By the way, I did end up with $3 cash. Yeah, now, I don't remember if I walked out with that or how that happened. I had $3 cash in my pocket. My kids lived, I don't know if you guys are familiar with San Antonio, but it's right on the outskirts. You know where Jupy used to be, or China Grove, that area. Okay, 1604 or 410 Rigsby area. Okay, a little bit older area of town. Well, her family live in that older subdivision back there. And I knew that if I wanted to stay here and have a life, I was going to have to stay here. I was going to have to stay in San Antonio. I was going to have to stay near them. Didn't have a car, didn't have money, didn't have anything. But I knew I needed to stay. So hopped on the bus and I went right on the outskirts, which is on that main road, passes by their house, by their neighborhood. And I rode it to the last bus stop, which is just past the Walmart on 410. And there's a housing development to the right. Just past that's pasture. So for the next 2 months, that's exactly where I stayed, is in that pasture. Sleeping on the ground, right over the fence, 5:30 in the morning. Now here's the deal. How are you going to succeed? How can I? It's not, oh my God, I'm a homeless bum. No, man, my parents didn't raise no beggar. My parents didn't raise nobody over here asking for handouts and this and that. No, some grubby old miscreant. No, I didn't want anybody to know I was in that situation, no matter what I looked like. So what do? You go to the gym. That's what you do. Yeah, well, I went to the gym the third day. Hang on. First day, I got $3 in my pocket, and I got to eat. How are you going to eat? Man, look, when I was a kid, I told you my brothers and sisters are about 20 years older than me. And I remember my brother getting married. I was probably 9, 10 years old. And he come to tell me about on their honeymoon, they had gone to Vegas, and they had seen an artist on the street that was painting the cosmos with spray paint, cans of spray paint. He said it was the most amazing thing he'd ever seen. It took 10 minutes. He lit it on fire, spun it in a circle, lifted it up for the audience to see, and it was the most amazing work of art he'd ever seen. Now, I liked space and I liked art. I was a goofy 9, 10-year-old kid, right? Thought it was cool. Saw the painting, thought it was neat. No idea how to do any of that. Never saw anybody do it. But I always had in my mind, he told me it was $50 for that painting. He said, it's $50 for the painting. This is like 1989, 1990, right? $50 for the painting, took 10 minutes to do it, and he did it in a live audience on the street. In my head, I always thought, if I had to, could I? If you had to, could you? So I did. I went to that Walmart and I bought 2 cans of paint, a can of white and a can of black, and a piece of poster board for 67 cents. So for just under $3, I started a life. I went right outside Walmart, and in that parking lot, right, this is not quite January, it's like the 29th or something. You know what I mean? Not even New Year's yet. Kind of hungry. I go out there and I tear the poster board in half, and I create 2 very crappy paintings of a mountain and a little moon using a can that I'd found in the parking lot and the trash bag, or the bag that it came in, as a texturing device for the paint. Sold both of them $15 immediately, right, each. $15, went and grabbed some food. Oh yeah, got something to eat and a pair of socks because I needed those. Yeah. And the next $15 went to paint and poster board. And I went out and did it again and again and again until they ran me off. They said, you can't be doing that out here. So I had to figure out where I could. There really wasn't a place. I hopped around at little stores, Speedy Stops, liquor stores, convenience stores, and tried to set up outside their spot for about a month. At 5:30 every morning when the bus line would start to run, you hit the bus. Oh, by the way, on the second day when you got $10 in your pocket, you go to Planet Fitness. That's what you do. How are you going to succeed? How are you going to be better? You can't look like a bum on the street if you're trying to do business with other people. You can't appear to be in a situation if you're trying to take the step up, because you're not looking for the handout, right? You're looking for the step up. That's the deal. Positioning is a big thing. And who you surround yourself with is a big thing. If you're a homeless guy, where are you going to surround yourself with? Who? Are you going to go to the ministry places and be around all the other bums and drug addicts? Is that who you want to be around? No. You go where successful people go. Successful people are trying to build in their life in one way or another. And the one thing I could afford was a $10 membership to a gym that I could take a shower at 24 hours a day. If I pay $30 a month, I got Black Card. I can get a massage. I can sit in there and hang out. I can take a nap if I wanted to. Got a locker if I need to. I can be there 24 hours a day at any location, anywhere in the country for $30. Made sense to join the darn gym. Guess what? Because I was a productive member of society, the only time I could actually be at that place is about 4 something in the morning. Guess what? People that work and have jobs that really make actual livings, they get up in the morning. They go to work at like 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, which means that if they're doing successful shit with their life, they're doing it prior to that. That's what it is. So guess who you surround yourself with at between 4 and 5 in the morning at any gym, no matter the quality of the gym, which there's a lot to be said about that too. Another thing. But yeah, you will come into contact with people who are truly trying to better their life, whether it's just to take a few steps before they go to work, or it's to show off what they got going on. Now, that's another thing too. Now, who do you talk to when you go to these gyms? Because you already feel lesser than every single person there when you're in that situation. No one knows where you're coming from. Nobody knows what you're wearing. Nobody knows your story. And you're there trying to better yourself. How do you do that? Well, you look at the biggest, baddest, most bulky mother effers out there. You know why? Because they worked the hardest. They worked the hardest in that place where you're at, which means that they are dedicated individuals. And if you surround yourself with the people who are working hard in the place where you're at, you will not be in the circles that are doing the detrimental things, right? Those are not the people that are eating junk food, drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes, doing drugs, and hanging out at the clubs. These are the people that get up and drink their protein shake and do, 100 sit-ups and 100 push-ups before they go to work so they can look a little bit ripped when they walk by the receptionist they're never going to have because they're happily married. But they like feeling like that. Yeah, that's how you do it. I went to the gym. From the gym, I took this business and I said, how am I going to take it? By the way, 2020 rolls around and it's a global pandemic. Global pandemic, folks. Everybody's to shut their doors, lock their windows, and stay in the house. You're all going to die. Dude, I'm still living just over the fence. Going out every day, doing this paint gig, buying a new outfit every day so that you don't look like a bum. Going out every morning, because by the way, when you work by yourself and you work on the street, you got to find a way to go to the bathroom. Nobody realizes that. Bathroom and food, two major things that have to happen when you're out there. And if you're working in the street, you can't just leave your stuff. Someone will take your stuff, okay? That's it. So you have to have, fortunately, the place I just came from was Rufford and any damn street anywhere around here. I was not worried about that whatsoever. One thing I did know is that I needed to do all of my business before I set up in the morning, which meant that in the morning, about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, I would have to set up over at Centro and go to the bathroom, do everything I needed to do to clean up and look right. The first day I couldn't go to any stores. Everybody was closed down. There was nobody shopping. The retail locations were closing. Everybody was out of business. People were getting laid off left and right. How am I going to survive? So I went to an officer downtown and I said, hey, I used to see artists down here on the street, downtown, and y'all used to let them make it because there's no vending permits. You cannot legally go down there and vend or make money and sell your stuff. I knew that. They said, well, sir, and they're looking at me, and I got a little dolly by that time. I'd bought all my stuff over the next month or so, collecting stuff. And he said, well, we let people like you hang out up over here on Houston Street. We'll leave you alone. I said, okay. I had an in. They were going to leave me alone, and I was going to be able to set up downtown somewhere where I can draw some traffic. I can do something, because if there was anybody, it was going to be people coming. They weren't tourists anymore. The tourism's dead, right? Pandemic's on. It's business people who are coming to conferences that are already paid for and booked that have nothing to do with their time and energy after the show's over, right? So they have to come spend their money. They're by themselves or they're with their family. There's not going to be another vacation. Business is paying for it. So happened to be I was the only thing on the street. I was the only thing on the street. The businesses around were boarded up and closed. Had nothing. So I said, well, I really need to make a life with this. I don't want to be a bum on the street painting. Who wants to do that? I'm 40. I'm not trying to do that crap. I need a business. I had been running organizations my entire life, full-on organizations with real teams. And now all of a sudden I'm doing this entrepreneurial startup BS hustle and grind at 40 years old on the street. I said, I've got to change this. So I said, by the way, the one street that they give you, Houston Street, if you guys want to look it up in the municipal codes, it is the only piece downtown between the Valencia Hotel and Alamo Plaza where you can legally do a performance art and accept money for that performance art. Okay, that's how all of your homeless people make money, making the crosses and the roses and all the little doodads and things that they do and are legally able to solicit you without any hassle. They actually give them that area. So in other words, they gave me Homeless Row. They said, yeah, sure, bud, you can do that all you want to, right over there. All the bums. Guess what? Nobody's coming down that street. Nobody's coming to shop. But I got a lady that lives on the bench right here, a guy that sleeps in front of the window right there. I'm trying to do live video. I'm trying to do stuff, man. It's a horrible situation. I said, how in the heck am I going to change how can I, folks, keep this in mind? This is a how can I story. How can I change this situation? We need to get people around this corner. We really need to get people around this corner and let them navigate through the homeless mess and get to see the one cool thing that's going on. Man, I'm Facebooking, I'm Instagramming, I'm living, I'm doing all the social media jazz that you could possibly do for free. Then I start thinking, there's a marketing company around the corner. It's called Visit SA. They happen to be the marketing company for all of downtown San Antonio. And my business is located about 200 feet from their office. Makes sense to see what kind of packages they offer. Well, wouldn't you know, for $1,000 a year, they'll put you in all of their publications. They'll make advertising for you. They'll put you on the things to do. You'll be at the top of the Google for all of the searches when people are in San Antonio looking for those things. $1,000. So I made that investment. And all of a sudden we had traffic that was driven to us by the city to some homeless dude on the street. During spring break of 2020, 2020? Yeah, 2021, the following year. During spring break of 2021, I made enough cash in that 2.5 week period to go out and purchase a home. Well, full on cash, done. Could have been ours. We didn't. We rolled it around and invested it, which is what we do. Found a business, and it was just me. And I said, well, how in the heck am I going to scale this, right? Pandemic's about over. Businesses are open up. What are you going to do? Cannot legally sell anything downtown. Cannot be a vendor. You can't go. There's just a process that's almost impenetrable to be able to do what I'm trying to do. Well, over the last 2 years, last year, I built a lot of relationships with every business surrounding me. Because I didn't go out there as a bum. I went out there as a business owner. And I shook their hands and kissed the babies and did all the stuff and gave away free art and did the photo ops with everybody there, all of the businesses there, so that they knew I was a respectable human being, right, during this time period. So now it was easy to approach them and say, hey, Mr. Such and Such and Mr. So-and-so, you know, it's been quiet for a little while. Everybody's in trouble with the pandemic and, you know, the economy, and you've used up your stimuluses and everything that they've given you. Have you ever thought about utilizing your easement? And, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, it happens to be, you've seen my art and everything that we do over here, and I've got several people that would like to come to work that need jobs. And if you would lease me your little 6-foot easement outside your building, it's a recurring revenue stream for you that you didn't have before. You don't have business coming in. And if nothing else, it's an attraction as well. So ended up taking 6 different leases in the downtown area, which count 6 guys in the downtown area. That's every prime corner location in downtown. That was me. That was it. We ended up with 17 full-time live working artists with the first live working artist collective of downtown, where it's a real deal performance art out there. Magazines, books, seminars, blah, 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 the whole thing put out on that. And that started from $3. That's the how-to story, the how can I story on $3. In 2018, with the mushroom business, I was going to prison. That's what was happening, and I didn't know what I was going to do with the finances. Didn't really trust the wife. I did have a business partner. Okay, we had also opened up a concentrate company. This was in the beginning. Look, when I came home, I was not going back to growing weed, man. That wasn't happening. But I'm an expert in the field. I got stacks of paperwork saying that I'm great at what I do, right? How do you just exit the industry you still love and care about? You're not scared, are you? So I said, well, no, I'm sure not. So I went into a concentrate company because I decided that growing was for chumps, right? That was baby boy money. And I wanted to play with some big boy money now. I done spent my life paying for it. I deserved it. So I started the largest concentrate company in Texas up until 2018. And that was called Drip Flower Concentrates. We would put out your vape cartridges, your pens, your CBD oils, your full spectrum concentrates as well, and did contract work with the legal dispensaries in every other legal state. That's how we ended up growing. Now, we were not listed as a Texas company, but we're a Texas company. Kind of how that went. That gave me some experience in buying businesses and selling them. I found out I got screwed is what I did. As I was going back, I had a business partner that we had gone in. We had bought a lab together. We had bought some facilities together. He was pretty much the financial backer. I did everything. At the end of it, we were a multi-million-dollar company with the mushrooms. And when it was time for me to be done with it, I had shut the business down. And I said, look, I'm fixing to go away. I need to take care of things for when I come home. And I want to sell you the inventory. I didn't know how to sell a business. I had no idea. I didn't really think I had anything to sell, in truth. So I gave him about $2 million worth of inventory for $200,000. Yeah. That sustained me for the next couple of years while I was doing what I was supposed to. Now, it did end up leaving because that wife that was holding it all, wasn't there when I came home. Long story short, that is the how to do a lot of these things. You don't have to have a fancy degree. You don't have to have some load of cash. You don't even have to have good credit to do any of these things. So what I ended up doing was leverage your relationships, right? Leverage your relationships. Leverage your time properly. I wanted to make more money with the art company than the time I had to spend. So we put people to work. That's how you do that. You leverage other people's time. We opened a toy distribution company kind of out of spite. It was kind of an inheritance, kind of out of spite. I inherited a bunch of handwritten receipts and was mocked for the business that I was handed. I said, I'll turn it into the greatest business in this industry in this city. And I have in the last year and a half. We now own the largest toy distribution company in this area, proudly to say. And we will be looking to exit that within the next 2 years. My point to saying this, guys, is there are ways to make income that have nothing to do with how many hours you're putting in at the office. Okay, has nothing to do with how much credit you've got. And really, you can do a lot of this stuff without knowing a soul. Right. All right, so I've told you guys that it is possible to come from absolutely zero to something, right? We've talked about that. You now know a little bit more about me, isn't that correct? Right? You got to know a little bit about the story. Now, how in the heck is it possible for you? Well, that's easy. You are in a time of tremendous opportunity right now in 2023, coming into 2024. If you guys aren't aware, you've got about 10 years before the generation that is out and about and prevalent right now starts to disappear. Okay, that good old baby boomer group that everybody likes to make fun of, 40% of them own small to medium-sized businesses. 40% of them own small to medium-sized businesses. Now, what is a small to medium-sized business? Are we talking about a mom and pop shop? No, we're not. According to private equity, a small to medium-sized business is between $1 and $5 million EBITDA. Okay, that means that owner's taking that home, $1 to $5 million a year, and that's the small to medium-sized business. You've got, within the next 10 years, 50 million people leaving the workforce in this country alone. 40% own those types of businesses. That means that 40% of the businesses that are around us right now are fixing to close. They're fixing to just die. How many of you guys are a business owner right now? All right. How many of you have had a business and had shut it down at some point? Right? How many of them were successful? You just left for another reason. Maybe it was health. Maybe you got burnt out. Maybe you're tired. Maybe industry changed. Maybe the economy just didn't allow you to spend your time wisely there. Has that happened with you guys? Right? Okay. Why didn't you just sell what you built? Most of the time, people don't know they can. They don't know they can. They don't know what they have to sell. And they don't know how to go about doing it. Didn't even know it was possible. I shut down more businesses than I ever could have thought about buying or selling because I didn't know that there was an opportunity. I didn't know somebody would want it. I didn't know that I had something of value. Well, that's what I started focusing on when I came home, is how do I leverage different types of things? And I found businesses that were good businesses that people needed to exit. That was it. We filmed a video about 2 weeks ago. It's on the YouTube channel. If you guys are interested in that, I can get you the link on it. And it's a 13-minute conversation, completely unedited, where I purchased a $95,000 revenue stream for about $2,500, right? It was either $12 or $25. I think it was $2,500 is what we ended up doing. By the way, it wasn't my cash. That's why I'm not concerned with the number. That was the point. So just injected an extra $100,000 for nothing, right? Didn't do anything. I don't have another job. None of that kind of stuff. The entire conversation to saying, yeah, sure, we can make that work, took 8 minutes. From hello, sir, blah, 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 my name is, and this is what we do, until, yeah, I think we've got a deal. It doesn't take long to do some of these things. You don't have to have a lot in the bag as long as you're working an equitable deal to make other people happy. You know, that's the deal. Like for me personally, I decided I'm not looking at distressed businesses that are in a hole that need investment and financial help. Man, I don't have that. I never came into this with loads of money, but I got a lot of resources, right? There's a lot of different types of capital that you can inject into something that has nothing to do with a financial resource. So anyway, guys, I think that I've pretty well touched on those 3 topics. It is possible. It is possible for you. You don't have to have all of the fancy Ivy League credentials or crap. You just have to be willing to work a little bit and learn a little bit and work with other people. That's what it is. If any of you guys are interested in that type of thing, I am the founder of the Acquisitions Academy where we teach this. I'm not trying to teach any of you guys any of these new tricks, man. Y'all don't want to learn that. But if you're interested in partnerships and if you're interested in owning, operating, buying, or selling businesses, I'm open to talk about partnerships with that. So that's what you've got on that. Now, that's an offer. I got an ask for you as well. I ain't never asked y'all to do nothing with me. I ain't asking y'all to do any business, buy nothing from me, but I do got an ask. There's a lot of parts of this story, and I only touched very few of them in bullet points, to tell you the truth. I'd like to share the story more than I'm able to share it with right now, so I'm looking for active speaking engagements. I already have an entire list of things and topics that I do speak about to children, a group of things that I talk about to teens, and a group of things that I talk about with adults. And it ranges from the simple stuff of birds of a feather flock together that we all know, and real life experience on how that's true, up to how you actually put the tools to use, that you're given in life. I don't know if any of you guys experienced it, but that little place I was at, I did what they taught me to do, man. I went to school, I got the grades, I thought I was going to go to college and get a job and then blah, blah, blah in that order. But really, they don't really teach you the tools they teach you how to do the math and how to read, all that, but how do you use these skills to do more? How do you do it? It was a stumbled my way through life most of the time trying to figure that out. Unfortunately, I went to a lot of illegal ways to do it, but the business concepts were the same. Anyhow, that's what I've got for you today. If any of you guys have any questions, love to answer them before we stop the stream. Anybody? No? They say count to 10. I wasn't going to do it. I'm not going to do it. All right. Thank you very much, Hermes. I appreciate the time speaking to you guys, and hope you now have a better understanding of what we do and how we can do it together.